come on, better angle for us.
Yo, what up? This is Big Cappuccino, the Great Wu-Tang Clan, Killer Bees on the Swarm.
Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy Bizarre from D12.
Yo, what's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh.
Hey, Redman is in the building. You already know.
Hey guys, this is Emily Peachy.
Shout out, man, to Worldwide Collaborations, man.
I want to shout out Worldwide Collaborations LLC.
Shout out to the Worldwide Collaborations LLC.
World movement, beyond thousands of movements.
The world movement, beyond thousands of movements.
All about representing each other together. So check this out.
What's up? You want to be a part of this? You want to be a part of the Worldwide Collaboration?
You guys should all be a part of Worldwide Collaboration.
Worldwide Collaborations LLC. Check us out, man, and check what's going on, man. Word up. I have recently been choosing to be a spokesman and an ambassador, so you will see a lot more of me. Join the movement, man. It's beyond thousands of movements right now and talents put together, all about representing each other together.
I want to join, so I might see you there. All right, much success.
It is a worldwide.
All right, we back once again, man. Shout out to my brothers, the Worldwide Movement, man. Great collaboration. Brothers all up and down the East Coast, man. Had the pleasure of, hanging out and chilling with my man Solomon Childs from the Wu-Tang.
Okay.
And these brothers just embraced me. So shout out to them.
Yes,
so without
sir.
further ado, we have Chi-Town's finest.
Look at that.
The people that get down to it, that represent and respect the culture, and try to teach and educate, and just try to bring that movement together. Because when I was growing up, my father used to talk about the sound of Chicago, like you had the sound of Philly, like you had the sound of Cleveland, and so we see what's going on the news with Chicago, but we do have to know that when it comes to instrumentation, live instruments, percussions,
Yes.
bands, and harmonies with melodies, with those funky drum lines that how you mix the rap and the house music in and all that. You got to know, man, Chicago got some of the greatest entertainers that ever walked the planet.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why I wanted to bring you guys on. So without further ado, I have the Queen, KIMistry Beats, and my man, hip hop head, the culturalist, no silverback. What's going on?
What's up, brother? Man,
Thank
what's
you for
going
having
on?
us.
King Jacob in the building. Hit me.
Yes, sir, man. So what's so interesting to me, man? I see a lot of people put events together. We're gonna talk about this first. How did y'all get all them people to come to this 50th anniversary of hip hop? I'm talking about people that I had to look up and see who they were, because they don't be on the mainstream media like that.
You know what? I guess I could answer this one or at least I could start. A lot of them are really like one phone call away from us. So we're not really mainstream either. And that's to us, that's what hip hop is all about. It's that rugged, it's like you got to go under the ground to find the talent and the value of what the culture is. So when it came to putting it together, it was really as simple as just saying, hey, we kind of want to acknowledge you guys. We were just really saying thank you for whatever work that you have done thus far. Some people have been 10 years, some people it's been 30 years. I mean, we did just a happy birthday tribute to hip hop and wanted to salute some Chicago icons. So we pulled up the DJ Trackster. We actually was trying to go through like producers and DJs.
Yeah, you guys are cute. And to the world, if y'all hear me saying referencing KIMistry Beats, it's Boogie Beat. So if I say Boogie, I'm referencing KIMistry Beats, right? So when KIMistry told me like let's do this thing, we came to have an idea to do this thing. I've been in this since 1998, and I rubbed a lot of elbows, and I met a lot of good brothers, man, a lot of good sisters, man, in it. And to facilitate it, I pulled out my phone book, and I started making phone calls. You know what I mean? And telling people this is my not an idea, man. I just want to thank you all for being a part of this journey of hip hop. So I started making phone calls.
So it was
And
no
it's-
gimmick. It was really no gimmicks for
just
us.
making
A
a
lot
phone
of people,
call.
I think a lot of people they already respect where we are with the culture and how we influence the culture. They already, respect me as an individual entity, and then also, of course, he's been doing this shit since '98, so they consider him a legend. So just really to hit up somebody and say we want to do this, most people have been following us and they proud of our movement. So it was no real gimmicks to it. It was like, hey, I have this, I want to, recognize you and come party with us. So we knew it was a birthday party in the get-go, because it's 50 years of hip hop since 1973. So we was like, let's just make it a party kind of thing. And then people that follow us, they like our energy. So it wasn't no gimmicks. It wasn't like trying to sell tickets. It wasn't like, we really invested in it to show our love. So it was easy. We made it about love, so it was easy.
Come hang out with us, and we got a token of appreciation for you on your way out the door.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, as far as you can remember back, man, what made both of you guys love hip hop? When did you fall in love with it?
I fell in love with hip hop in 1988. Whenever Gangsta came out by NWA. Actually, no, let's go before that. I fell in love with hip hop when I heard, Ice-T, 6 a.m, storytelling. You feel me? Because I can understand what he was talking about. So I fell in love with hip hop then, being that there was somebody that was telling the story. You know what I mean? That's when I fell in love with hip hop, man. Listen, hearing Ice-T 6 a.m, and then the battle rapping the LL Cool J. You feel me? And the camaraderie of Run DMC as a group, even the Beastie Boys as a group. So,
and I'm from '82, so my fall in love with hip hop, even though I had been listening to Scarface, I come around this motherfucking do your ass just like Jesse James. I had been listening to that, and I probably was in 4th grade. Like, who knew? But I want to say something corny though, like I fell in love when I first met Philip Martell. I want to say something like that because I feel like the movie is just right there. Yeah. But I promise you, I was in school and Jay-Z had that, you don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood could swallow a man. The bullets will follow a man. It's so much coke that you could run a slalom.
We kept falling in love with it. So because every decade,
and we're still falling in
love with it. You know what I'm saying? So
we're still falling in love with it.
So real talk. Yeah. So I can't really say when I fell in love with it.
Because it's not one of those kind of things. You got to be in you. You feel me? Like my dad had a band. His dad was really musically inclined. May they both rest in peace. Phil just lost his father 2 weeks ago. Mine 2 years ago.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. And I think a lot of our upbringings, it really just resonate in how we move, how we live. He and I, we don't go a day without the best of Anita Baker. You know what I'm saying? That's hip hop. That's gangster as fuck to us. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and it's not just Anita Baker. So we tap into other genres of music, and he had been doing that before me. And I grew up, listening to Benny and the Jets and Rocket Man by Elton John. He listened to The Doors, and I listened to Hinder and those type of groups, Nickelback and stuff like that. So we're really a musically inclined family. His family and then myself. So together. When I tell you magic be happening over here, it's really like that.
So this is interesting to me, because when I tell younger artists, I say, listen, man, you got to dig into all genres of music, and I asked this artist, I said, man, I want you to go on YouTube and search the Doobie Brothers. It's a cat by the name by Michael McDonald. I said, you a producer too. I said, you a producer too. So man, if you trying to sample some tracks, you got the Doobie Brothers, you got the Bee Gees, you got Phil Collins, you got Three Doors Down, and the list goes on and on. So and I just think, music is such a universal language.
Yeah, it is.
Sure. And if you understand it and let the music teach you, it can teach you how to be a musician, an entrepreneur,
sure.
and it can teach you how to walk in a certain way of life, because music is a way of life.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and so, I tell artists that all the time. Now, speaking of what made me love hip hop, yeah, I was cool on LL, I was cool on Run, but man, that lyrical play of Rakim, it just did
Rakim.
something to my brain.
I felt deeply in love when I heard Rakim. That's when I knew
hands.
that I had a voice when I heard Rakim.
Yes,
and I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Rakim, and then it was this dark skinned dude that all the women loved. He had, he didn't have the high top fade. He had like a little crew cut box with the lines, the little lines. Like, so I think Big Daddy Kane, he kind of, brought something so different to hip hop. He was just such, like the song said, he was the smooth operator. You know what I mean? And like from Big Daddy, then KRS One taught me so much about the science in the body of the black man, the mind of the black man, and then
being a fifth element.
Right. And then when I heard that Leaders of the New School, that Tribe Called Quest, and then when I heard this baby boy by the name of Narcelle Jones that was 16 years old, and he was coached by AZ, I was like, oh wow, you know what I mean? So that hip hop is crazy, and I tell people all the time, like I talk to cats from Chicago that's like 17, 18, I'll be checking SoundCloud, Audio Mac, and all that. So I was like, man, ask your dad and your uncle about their first Common Sense album.
Woo.
Huh?
Did you have that first Common Sense?
I know what. Comment. He a native. You know what I'm saying. Definitely knew about the first Common Sense when he brought that album out. The first voice, if you really want to say from Chicago, before it was Tongue Twister. He was Mr. Tongue Twister, right? And but it was he almost put himself in this box. He was rapping real fast, real quick. Right. But Common Sense was considered more of hip hop
and conscious,
right?
And conscious rapping, because that's what hip hop was back then, right? So I definitely agree with that. When Common Sense came out, he solidified Chicago hip hop scene. Right. So that's real what you said, but it's crazy you say that. They just show you how deep hip hop is, because every side of town had their own interpretation of their life. Right. So that means their delivery was different, right? Common Sense was that cool dude with the fro, like a Hyde Park type of 83rd Street type of dude. You know what I'm saying? So he had a message about the streets, but it was articulated in a way where it was more conscious, right?
Right.
Then you had the guys on the west side, right? The Twister, right? He told his story, lyrically inclined, but still more street, right? But it still had the same message. And that's what's so dope, man. So yes, definitely, man. Like, the ladder you climbing, I was right there with you, brother. We on the same page.
Did y'all feel like, did either of you feel like though Common Sense wasn't really recognized or even really respected until his beef with Ice Cube? It's like when that Ice Cube did, it seemed like that's when I feel like he started getting the notoriety as, he's a dope or bad rapper. I don't feel like people were really talking about him. No diss.
I feel
they were talking about him. That's why Ice Cube talked about him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that brought him notoriety to the Windy City a lot. But I feel like when he had when it was Common Sense, and he took the tape back to Howard University while he was going to school. When he was going to school, how the go-go bands mixed that Common Sense up with the go-go version, I feel like all down the East Coast, especially that DC, Maryland, Virginia, they got him a lot of notoriety. And then, from leaving Howard, going up to New York and meeting people like Kid Capri and DJ Clue and DJ Ron G and DJ Tony Touch. They was like, who is this cat right here, man, from Chi-Town? And and the mixtape era begins. That's when New York was introduced to him. And so once New York got introduced to you back in them days, it was a wrap.
That's dope, and I love what you're saying, because at that time, Chicago was known for house music, and then they had the hip house. But that's so dope that you mentioned that, because New York really wasn't taking us serious as hip hop.
Nor was the South.
You know, but the South wasn't even talked about at that point at all.
It wasn't talked
about. So
it
was New York only with hip hop. Chicago was house music. Then it was hip house with dudes rapping Fast Eddie and all them guys. So I can say Common Sense really did break that mold by going east, going to school. You know what I'm saying? And that's really enlightening, brother.
And I love that y'all both brought that up, because when it comes to the state of hip hop, and we're talking about Chicago and where we are, the state of hip hop, that's the point that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, how a lot of other cultures, or east side, west side of the west coast, down south, they have studied us for so long, and they've taken so much of our styles, and so I think that's kind of where Chicago artists fucked up at. You feel me? Being able to break off and branch off and network outside of Chicago. Back then, I think it did us some injustice.
So what happened? What happened is those guys down south, those executives down south, the Tony Drapers from Suave House, Rap a Lot, all those guys, they caught interest in Chicago, mainly the West Side guys. They signed them. They signed those guys and then shipped them guys down south to Texas and Houston, right? And they was able to study. So those guys was down there. The Psychodrama was a Suave House with MJ A-Ball and MJG in the middle of the night. You feel real good. You heard Psychodrama's cadence all in that, right? So, and then they ran, but what happened is they ran with that down south. And that's how down south got introduced to Chicago hip hop, because those first major deals was Rap a Lot and Suave House. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's those I feel like those undercover conversations people don't have.
They're gonna learn today. Hear?
King Jacob. But yeah, I definitely think that's kind of part of
That was big though, babe. Like on real talk, like no one even was even looking at, not let alone Chicago, but they wasn't even looking at the West Side. Period. It was Common Sense really broke a barrier though. He did, by going to school in Howard on the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? That's real. That's real. And they didn't want to let him in. That's why Ice Cube dissed him. You know
but that's what I'm saying. But look at that. But I'm saying, and that shaped the way people think that they have to make music with the whole diss and shit. Exactly. Like if I'm going to be noticed, I gotta talk shit about whoever the hottest or whoever the best is. Yeah. So that also plagued us. You feel me?
Made that the culture. That's
what people think the culture of Chicago rap is. So they don't actually speak on Chicago as, well, that's a place of talented artists. They speak on us as they drilling shit, they killing shit.
Now.
You feel me? Now.
Yeah.
But just from listening to what you guys talking about, this started a long time ago.
Yeah. And but what the thing about it is, when you talk about Chicago is a melting pot. So, you got the railroad going through Chicago. This is the middle. So everything has to run through Chicago. And what's so dope about Chicago, every side of town had a different sound. Unlike a New York or down south, everybody sounded the same. But you had more lyrical, conscious dudes in Chicago. You had more streets dudes in Chicago. You had more party. So that's one thing that's so scary about Chicago, because it was so many different sounds. Yeah. East side of the city, east side,
and even now, east
side of town is its own city.
Yes. And even now they say, like if you listen, I was listening to that big song that Fabio Foreign has. He's from the East Coast, but it sounds like what you would think you would hear from that. She fell in love with a little bit. That I thought that sounds like a Chicago sound.
Yes, because
to me.
Chief Keef changed the soundscape.
Yes.
So they figured that if this dude made this sound and then made all this money, they got to follow suit.
Are you able to hear us still?
Yeah, I can you.
We lost you for a minute.
I was just coming back on, and I was listening to y'all talk about the dynamics on how the sound has changed and how other people has adapted to the Chicago sound. You're absolutely right. But there was a fella that was down south and in New York and out west that was a well-known producer by the name of No ID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he bridged a lot of the gaps for Chicago artists, because he would take his beats, but he would also take, mixtapes from different DJs in Chicago and play these records for other people in New York and Atlanta and Florida and people in Cali and Arizona and Vegas. And so he definitely bridged that gap as a well-known producer. And there would be no Kanye West without No ID.
Absolutely.
Because Kanye's mother was No ID's college professor. So
Absolutely.
it's all linked in together.
Yeah.
So shout out to No ID, man. He taught a lot of cats.
Respect.
Yes.
A lot of cats that when it come to mind, like he worked with like Scott Storch, like just
my favorite, Jay-Z, of course.
Like, yeah, Jay-Z, yeah. So
production,
but I just think that whole sound, and shout out to my boy DJ Phantom, you know what I mean? So, one Chicago's very own, you know what I mean?
Yes,
so,
sir.
so
my man.
And then let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
At the height when y'all was, entering this music and getting familiar with Chicago culture, man, how did the DJs mix the house music then with the rap? What was those parties like?
Well, that's what made it an easy transition was that when they created hip house. You know what I'm saying? When they started rapping over the house tracks, that made it an easy transition because now they're rapping over these house tracks. We was known for the juke music. You feel me? Shout out to Sundance. She was like the first hip house artist. You know what I'm saying? So I think that made the transition easy.
You're talking about the transition that we're in now, right? Because that's the latest trend for
back
Chicago. Back then?
I'm talking about then and what the youngest don't know, man, that you used to have stuff like the Taste of Chicago. You used to have stuff, the Chicago House DJs Convention, and you had all this stuff, and I interviewed a guy that Bango magazine that's from Chicago, and he used to be a house DJ back in the day, and when we had talked about the evolution of house music, which has been mixed with the EDM DJs, and and I tell artists, if you really want to break a record, especially if you live in the Midwest, Chicago, Kentucky, Ohio, get with you an EDM DJ. Because they're gonna break it in the States, but they're gonna send it to their friends in France and London.
He actually performed in Berlin.
Yeah, and I got into the electronic dance music. My buddy, shout out to Beats Beats, man. He produces dope track, man. And it was an EDM track, and I bugged up on it. You know what I'm saying? And we went to the Mid in Chicago. There was a EDM club, and we shook it. And one of the DJs reached out to one of his buddies in Berlin. You know what I'm saying? And shot me down there, man. It was an experience. And so to say that was a perfect segue to this. That's how it was broke in, how we transitioned from the house music to really rap being the go-to sound. Now when you hear about Chicago, you don't hear about Chicago as being this house music state as the forefront. Because you said something that was profound in the beginning. You was like, well, everything has changed. And then like the sound, you said that everything is drill and things of that nature. That's exactly what happened then, because the crack era hit the streets, right? In the 80s. So when the crack era hit the streets, you had New Jack City came out, you feel me? Then you had Gangsta by NWA. So dudes wasn't in the clubs dancing no more. You had the guys that was house heads, but they became the minority and not the majority of what the culture was in Chicago, because dudes was out there hustling. So now they want to hear something that they can relate to.
As the environment changed.
Yeah. So it's like, we ain't dancing no more.
Because the music, that's what hip hop is. Yeah. It depicts the state of what, like the environment.
Yeah, that's when the streets used to dictate the sound, not the music, and not the music dictating the streets, how it is now. So what happened was the crack, the crack era changed the rap game in Chicago. We ain't dancing no more. We finna get this money. What this dude talking about over there? You know, what's Face say? What Face talking about over there? What NWA talking about? What these dudes talking about? Are they talking about day-to-day crack selling? And then the Boys in the Hood came out. Like, okay, that the soundtracks, the movie soundtracks changed the game.
Right.
Minister Society soundtrack, Boys in the Hood soundtrack, the Juice soundtrack. Like, man, that's the type of time we on now. So that did it, man. The crack era changed the rap game in Chicago.
So with you knowing so much about the culture, with both of y'all knowing so much about the culture, do you think that disrupted the culture and what the culture was meaningful for? You know, because people don't know hip hop was a way to bring a lot of communities together for the good. You know, it was kind of based when they first started doing it in the late 70s. It was kind of based on, to bring communities together, to have an education outlet for the kids, free concerts in the parks. And I heard Big Daddy Kane, he said, man, hey, man, when NWA came out, bro, he was like, it wasn't no more Kane. Kane had to do all shows overseas. I couldn't even get booked in the U.S.
When
You know what I mean?
when the big corps got involved, that's when the game changed. Once the elite realized it's money that can be made in this genre, that's when it changed. Once I don't know if I'm saying too much. Everybody knows about the secret matching meeting they had about hip hop, right? Everybody knows about that meeting, right? When all these record execs, they started investing into the private penitentiaries, right? And they started investing into those penitentiaries. So they said, how can we fill these motherfuckers up? So we're not going to do any more all the conscious rap. We don't want to hear that anymore. So all the record execs that own these companies, we want your artists to talk about this. All right. So we can fill up these beds. There. Right.
And you're absolutely right, because if we look at it in the last 25 years, they've built 4,000 schools and 40,000 prisons.
Facts. And Illinois has the most penitentiaries in the state. So
but when you also, I kind of just like to add or interject. The question being, you were saying that in the beginning it was used to make good and bring people together. I don't think that's necessarily a hip hop thing. I think Black people have a way of doing that, period, and have always done that with music. But because before there was like this violence or this thing that's separating us right now. Before that you was in the 60s and the 70s where you had racism and all the segregation and stuff like that. The only time you would see people together is if you seen James Brown, or if you seen, these artists. They had the Ike Turner. They brought, they bridged those gaps. So I think right now music still does that. Like right now, if there could be, like, especially for Chicago, if there could be like this major peace treaty amongst gangs, and there could be some type of resolution to just like get like a reset or hit a reset button, I think the music we still will be able to depict our stories and where we from and what we're experiencing if we get away from just the diss. So because y'all first started talking about the diss and how you and I were saying that people started saying, hey, it appears to be that you gain more notoriety if you're dissing people. So if we could if there was a way that if that could subside, the music, no matter what we're talking about, it's gonna always be that bridge thing that keep people together. I just think that we're soulful creatures like that.
Facts.
You feel me?
Unfortunately, the people that's pushing the people that have the platform.
What I said I think happened first, and then they start seeing those big machines. They're probably having those meetings saying this is the narrative that we want to push out.
They realized that hip hop had a voice because it had the power to bring people together. So if it has the same power to bring people together, that means it has the same power to push our agenda, to pull them apart, because they know that these artists are damn, they're becoming demigods, and
Yeah.
they know people are gonna really listen to and hang on to every word they say. So I feel like they knew the power of hip hop. They knew the power of words. So unfortunately, you had people that didn't care about the culture and didn't care about the art of and the 5 elements of hip hop. They didn't even care about that. They just cared about the dollar sign that was put
Yeah,
in
it is.
front
I
of
mean,
their
it's
face.
like that for sure
You know
right
what I'm
now.
saying? So that's when it became about the money and not the love of it, that's what changed the narrative of it. That's what changed it.
I totally agree.
But I think as far as Chicago and that, I know of people that I know that into the film industry that y'all need to link up with that can change the narrative. You know what I mean? And because for you guys people together, that go for the 5th anniversary of hip hop. Man, listen,
Okay.
that don't happen.
Mhm.
They take a whole year to plan. They take a whole year to plan something like that. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
so for you guys just to have, because I was just looking at the post and I seen this person. I said, man, I ain't never seen that person before in my life, man. And
Thank
the
you.
post that y'all made under that, when y'all made the post, y'all incited that this person a big deal in that hip hop culture in Chi-Town. And so I kind of appreciated that because it was some positive, it was love, it was educational, it was unity. And so I was really happy to see that.
You know what? He and I, we both speak a lot about now how it doesn't necessarily take talent. You know what I'm saying? To be this person, to have a name. And so we're seeing that, it's this thing where you can kind of pay to become somebody. You could pay for image, you could pay for popularity. And because that is now the wave, or I mean, you could pay for likes, views, you could, because these things are accessible now. Just with $10, you can probably get yourself 100 views. We were saying, so and so, it's all right. You got 2 good songs, but how is it that only these 5 legends in Chicago, when we talk about legends, only these 5 groups are always mentioned? Or how is it that only these 5 artists are always, and these keep recirculating? So we were just like, do you remember so-and-so? He made this. He did this. He was like, nah, like Cold Steel did this. LEP, they did this. So he was just like too
She
far
said
from.
Cold Steel. My boy. She said Cold Steel.
You see what I'm saying? So he will
Listen,
walk.
man, a funny story about Cold Steel.
Go ahead.
When he was in the movie Part of the Game, and this was back in I guess I reached out to him about 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a couple of videos out, so I dropped my number in the video. And guess who calls me? Cold Steel. What up, fam? What the business is? So we was talking about hip hop. I told I kind of appreciate the dynamic of the movie, and I had caught one of his mixtapes, and I was like, man, this dude was so down to earth, man.
Yeah.
And you really never know a person just through their music. You actually got to get to know the person.
Facts.
And so when you said Coach Steel, and then it was another dude that I was introduced to by, I think his name is D.A. Smart out of Chicago. You know what I mean? And real down to earth, real cool fellow, man. And so just because you a street cat don't mean that you don't have respect. You know what I mean? So
That
I
part.
get people to see that all the time because I know some of the most notorious street cats, man. They make sure these kids went to school. They make sure ain't nobody bothered the elderly, and they bought their elderly groceries. You know what I'm saying? And make sure they had fans and air conditions and all.
Walk your mother's bags across the street to the house.
Yeah. So I just think
And
a
you
lot
know
of
what?
times,
Everything that you name, King Jacob, that's what we still respect. So we come from that. Like we remember guys being like that. So I think we don't ever want to allow our time in hip hop in this industry where we just allow people to be forgotten.
Right.
So because we respect that, everything that you just named about where we came from, the cloth that we come from, we were like, no, we gotta go back. We gotta salute. We gotta salute. We can't just keep recycling the same people on the surface, especially when we're talking about 50 years of hip hop. You can't, like you said, it take years. You said it take years to prepare. He and I did it in 2 months. But I will tell you this, I wish I hadn't have done it in 2 months. I wish I would have, for one, had taken a year to, to have had like at least 4 or 5 months to talk it out. I also wish that he and I could have partnered with other, maybe some terrestrial radio stations, maybe some other big artists, maybe some people. I wish we would have partnered with other, other promoters, because it's almost impossible. We were trying to do the impossible. We were trying to tap into like the facts, not our friends, not who we think is cute with the little haircut. We were like, what's the facts? What's the numbers? What did people do? Yeah. So we could just say, no, you did some iconic work here, and I want to salute you and at least acknowledge you and thank you. That's what we wanted to do. And
but see, this is the whole vibe now. It was people was awarded. And so y'all can stop.
Not nominated. There was not, we didn't say somebody else needs to decide if you or that person is better. No, there was no nominations. Yeah. We literally gifted people awards. You deserve it.
Yes.
And that's big.
It wasn't no nominations. It was tokens of appreciation given.
It was very prestigious, man. It was very prestigious, and I can appreciate that. And it definitely needs to be an annual thing. And and how I feel like how y'all can merge the hip hop and the community education together, man. Yeah.
Maybe you could come down next year.
Hey. Yeah. Most definitely, man. Because I feel like a lot of nonprofits would appreciate what you're doing. And I feel like, in that award ceremony, a lot of these school teachers that have been teaching for 20 years and never gave up on these kids, but they reach these kids through hip hop, and that's the only way they can open up to them is through hip hop. And I think that'll be a good thing, for y'all to merge with people like that.
Okay. Yes, for sure.
Okay, man, duly noted. Duly noted.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because we was a lot of people reached out to us with that same energy.
Yeah.
They was humbled by it, and a couple of philanthropists reached out to us like, "Hey, I see what you guys are doing.
I want to invest in this. Next time you guys do something, let me know. I don't mind."
And to be totally honest, let's talk about the state of hip hop. And unfortunately, the state of hip hop is a competitive market, right? Because we even gave, when I say we didn't, it wasn't a popularity contest with us. It was actually looking at your body of work and things you've done. Not even just rappers. We had producers, DJs,
and artists,
A&Rs, artists, people who act. It's not just the artists, right? Even film directors. We had people that I know may only get one like on their posts.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't appreciate them because they're not popular, right? But we knew that they had an impact, or it was something, right? Put the work in. And we had it set up for them, and we haven't even heard from them to say, hey, can I come get it from you? I couldn't make the show. Can I come and bump into you and get it? So, and some people actually got upset that we even did it before them. And it's so crazy. And it's kind of disheartening when you're coming from a good space, right? You're coming from a good space.
I'm gonna interject for a minute. I'm gonna say this: people want what you have, and I don't mean material things. When you have something, the real PPP, purpose, power, and passion, that's something that can't be bought or taught.
Tenfold. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think that's the scary part. Yeah. That we're giving so much love away for free and not asking for anything. Yeah. And then we're still running into this resistance or this energy. Or, some people, there's some people, they call these people gatekeepers. They're in high places, or they're in positions to where they could do the same thing, just show love. And I think it bothers me to meet some resistance from people instead of like getting together and working with us, or even acknowledging us. They break their necks to do the opposite. And I know that it's meant to let us know you guys are making a little too much noise. You know, people are talking about you guys, and it's supposed to be about me and what I did 20 years ago, and only me and my 3 people. You feel me? That gatekeeping thing and that blackballing thing. When you talk about the state of hip hop,
I was told by the PR firm I work for, because I work for Exquisite PR firm that's in Chicago. So I was told that it was like, yeah, connect with Mr. Silverback. He one of the original OGs, original gatekeeper, and she was like, the rawness of KIMistry BEATS is unmatched for a female. She stand on it and stand on top of it.
Oh wow.
So you know, I mean, I work for a PR firm that's right there in Chicago. So, you know, yeah. So and so I know who you was. I remember you were supposed to come on Exquisite Conversations, right? But you was in CDL school. You know what I mean? You were doing the trucking thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, but she said, why? You said, I looked at you. I read some of your posts. I said, don't play with him. I said, they can't play with him. They can't play. He's humble. He respect you. If you give him respect, he gonna show you the same. But you ain't about to play him. You know what I'm saying? And I was on one of your lives. I said, man, I said, God protect him now, because they done pissed him off. I don't want him to take it back to 1992.
Yeah, that was an interesting year.
You know, I can just imagine, man. You know, cause them some of them years were, you know, everything was everything. So to see a person transition and change their life for the better, people try to reel you back in. You know what I'm saying? And so I can commend both of y'all for being strong and not be reeled back in for, you know, people who don't have no value or don't have no meaning or don't understand your purpose. You know, because despite anything we think of, these young adults are always going to be looking at us, and they all going always want to know, like, you know, man, I seen mom take a 360, I seen dad take a 360, and you know, so
you talking that heavy talk right now, King. You talking that heavy talk right now, man. You know,
man.
It's, you know, it's funny, and with that right there, right. That's one of the reasons that I'm working on this last, not I want to say last project, because I'm working on this last project. You know, Philip Martell. This last project is pretty much is soliciting myself as a writer, right? Because it's showing I can write on any range, but ultimately though, it's just really to show, like, let's give them that conversation, because maybe these old stories, or maybe to let the youngest know, I don't disrespect you, I love you, because I was you. I was a hard-headed. Remember the OGs? Our OGs used to get on us like, man, take y'all ass and hey boy, don't be over there. So we was the same way, right?
Right.
So, but I wanted to just, like, you know, unfortunately, we didn't have the internet in 92. We didn't have the internet in 90 in the 98. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So so it's almost like I'm the spokesperson for that era of the big dogs, you know, because at the end of the day, if hip hop was originated in 73, that means 50. What can a 20-year-old tell me? Because we love music. So if this genre of music started when I was young, that means we were all growing up together. So just because you're young, don't mean you have to disrespect a big dog talking from his experience, because we're not disrespecting y'all talking to y'all peers. So it's like, I'm just talking to my peers, man. I'm talking to the people who can understand where I'm coming from, because music is therapeutic. So my whole thing is, I'm not rapping for the popularity vote. I'm talking to the people who call my phone and say, man, please drop something else, because your songs get me through this. So you take me on this journey, bro, when you speak, when you talk your shit. So you know what I'm saying. So that's really my whole purpose, man. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I'm touching up on. Like I'm not talking about my past to brag or talking about I'm a big bad wolf and I done did this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling my truth. And if my truth resonate with you and there's some gangster shit in it, and there's some this in it, and there's some poetic gestures in it, and there's something therapeutic in it, judge it off that and not when I was born. You feel me? And that was
right.
Brought that up. Like I said, I ain't trying to brag about it. I know who I am. I know what I've done. You know what I'm saying? I know this, that, and the other. So, but I just feel like it's a lot of people like you and I that still needs to hear just that nostalgic that time, you know what I mean? And just it's grown men talk. We grown men talking to each other. We talking to grown folk, man. That's what we talking about. You hear me? So yeah. So definitely, man. But I appreciate you though, man. Yeah. But I ain't no harm.
Yes, sir.
I ain't no threat, man. I ain't nothing, man.
I mean, people change though, bro. And so, you know, when you know you understand that people can change their lifestyle and change how they live their life for the better, man, then you know, with growth comes an intellectual presence, and with the intellectual presence comes a spiritual awakening. And so when people can understand that right there, man, then they can understand who you were and who you have now became.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the respect do come from that people have watched my journey. You know, my spiritual growth came from when I got shot in the head. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it a buck. And I got shot in the head and shot in the leg a year apart on the same dates. You know what I mean? And then had to go to the joint and sit down and think about that shit. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be totally honest with you. That's when it came. You know what I'm saying? So, and then yeah. So, man, listen. Yeah, that's when my spiritual growth came. So I feel like if you know I'm from Chicago, you know it's like dog years. If you're 30, you're 50. If you're 50, you're 70, right? So I feel like, you know, and I got a story for every one of these silver strands on my face. So I feel like I'm Unc. So why would you not listen to someone who actually been in the field and made it to this point? You know what I mean? To the point to have a family, to be in driving trucks, welding, and was really didn't even see that in my future. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I feel like why not listen? Actually, we're back to that now though. The young is really listening to us now.
Right.
Because when Chief Keef came out, they were 18 years old. Now them young brothers 28 years old now. It's been 10 years. So now they don't feel invincible. They're like, hold on, man. I think Unc might have been on or something. At first, I thought I knew it all. If Unc was an official dude and he done made it up to that age, and now I'm 28, I got a family, and I lost my friends. I might need to go listen to Unc now. Hey, Unc, let me get back in the car with you, man. So that's what we at right now.
Yeah. That's dope, though. That's dope, man. But we definitely almost out of time, man. So I want you guys to make some announcements, tell people where they can vibe with you at, go follow you at, and what you guys got coming up next.
I'm KIMistry Beats, KIMistry Beats, BEATS on everything. And right now I still got, you see, I Beat the Odds podcast. I haven't figured out a start date yet. I'm still waiting on a few things that I want to kind of put in play. And we do have a show that we finna put together. So we did the 50 years of hip hop, and we're gonna do a part 2 because so many people came and then so many people missed it and they want to be a part of it and, you know, hang out with us, right? So we're gonna do it again, but probably in the fall. And what we have coming up next is gonna be the Young Bull Show. We have a lot of artists, a lot of people though, and it's not even about just in the artist, like in the industry. A lot of, like he was just saying, the guys that are Chief Keef's age, they are now looking up to us. They call us the Unc and TT. I mean, before the alleged cheating of Remy Ma and Papoose or whatever, they were saying that we were the Papoose and Remy Ma of Chicago. So people are like looking up to us. So we was like, you know, we're going to throw a Young Bull show and we're going to keep it just around hip hop. Because sometimes when we say 50 years of hip hop, people think that it's a separation, and it's for the old heads or for a certain
Sound.
for a certain sound or age group or whatever, and it's not. So the shorties, that we respect them, so they are a part of hip hop. They are a part of the culture and how it changes, and we respect the stories that they have to tell. And we rock with them real heavy. So we're not the old heads that look down like, oh man, turn that young shit off.
Yeah.
In fact, we're intrigued with the way they story tell. So we want to put something together real soon for them and show them some love. And we put these awards together for them, for whoever that was for. But now we want to just really give something to do something dope, just from the heart to our young boys. So probably in August, you guys will be seeing something else from us.
Yeah, and we got Beats and Brooms cleaning services is up and running. So we got Beats and Brooms cleaning service. Get your customized house clean. Obviously, we got that up and running. You know what I'm saying? Cleaning business. Man, hey, Jason Jones, man, salute, brother. We got Philip Martell, the Philip Martell.
Just to let you know, Phil, man, that's my partner tapping all the way in from Connecticut. Yeah, bro.
Oh man, salute.
Hey,
salute.
Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Please
share us, man. Philip Martell on everything, man.
Please share and follow.
YouTube
and
channel. Stay in tune. We still growing. You feel me? Like I said, I'm resurging. So I respect.
We're really just getting started.
I respect everybody that's accepting me resurging. You know what I mean, man? You can get my first album '98 on SoundCloud, The Birth to the Verse. You can catch me on YouTube, man. Saying the Southwest Connect. When I brought the South side of Chicago and the West side of Chicago together. Coast Steel, Bees, all of them on the project. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to KIMistry Beats, man. You know what I'm saying? KIMistry big beats in the building. You should put that fire back up under me. What else can I say about this, man? Let me see, man. I think that's about it, though.
We definitely have the Philip Martell project that we're working on. We also have our son, who is our artist, Gio Sama, and I can't even give away too much. It's just one of those. Definitely follow us and support. If you've been rocking.
So when can I get that exclusive with your son?
You name it. Me and you, we locked in. Yeah. So I'll definitely work with you on that.
Also, for everybody who back on their business, who coming back from the mud, man, go download Back on Business on Spotify on all platforms. And also for all my guys who know how to talk to a lady the right way, who know how to court them the right way, download Serendipity, you know what I'm saying, on all musical platforms, on Spotify and, it's iTunes as well. Those are 2 songs coming off of the Philip Martell project, man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, that's dope, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. And
appreciate you, bro.
We appreciate you as well. So we've been locked in for longer than a year, actually. Us together and with you, and we've been trying to put this thing together. So I always say when God's time is when it's gonna happen. You feel me? Right. So I'm glad today was the time that He said, y'all go lock in with King Jacob.
Say that.
And so we're here. And the thing with Gio Sama, I mean, the same way we made this happen, and along with God, all power to the Most High. So we'll continue to connect that way. And anything you need from us, I'm here to network with you guys, and most definitely share our information and keep us in tune with everything. And
I so will. Now, just to let you guys know, if you guys have any student athletes out there in Chicago that didn't get a chance to go to college, I am a national collegiate junior college recruiter. And yes, sir, and I can get them in school. We don't want these young men on the street. We don't want them getting involved, and we definitely don't want them to catch any felonies.
Well, I got a pipeline.
I love you already.
My son's a student athlete. They got 4 RISE scholarships, D1 scholarships, man, last year. Actually 3 years ago. So I'm one of those sports dads. So I'm a firm believer in student athletes, man. NCAA clearinghouse, make sure they get on top of that. Yeah. So for sure. We with you now. I'm with you on the same page.
Yes.
My man. I appreciate y'all, man. So y'all take care. Y'all be blessed. Y'all stay encouraged, and we'll be chopping it up.
Yeah.
Peace.
Bye.